Tonight on The Roast, the government hides behind its media blackout and the Reserve Bank of Australia is caught up in dealings with Saddam Hussein. Remember him? But first, here's Mark Humphries.
Labor leadership candidate Bill Shorten wants to introduce quotas to boost the number of gay and lesbian politicians in Parliament, as opposed to the current quota of one Penny Wong. So to recap, that's gay and lesbian quota up, Messiah quota down.
The era of the Messiah is over.
Shorten detailed his plans in his manifesto. Party, policy, people. Seems he's also introduced alliteration quotas. Let's look at what he's written.
I joined Labor 29 years ago because I wanted to make a difference. Now I'm nominating for the party's leadership.
Now I nominating? Someone give this guy a Gonski. Seriously though, there should be more gay and lesbian politicians in Parliament, but for God's sake, run a spell check, will you, Shorten? Coalition frontbenchers George Brandis and Barnaby Joyce have been accused of using taxpayer funds to attend a shock jock's wedding. No, don't worry girls, Carl Sandilands is still on the market. The wedding the pair attended was that of former 2UE broadcaster Michael Smith. According to Fairfax papers, in order to attend the nuptials,
Senator Brandis claimed $1,700.
For that kind of money, I'd want to attend the wedding night. Most of Brandis' $1,700 only covered travel expenses, so surely he needs more taxpayer money for the present. Here, George, buy something nice for the shock jock. Senator Brandis insisted he attended the wedding
Primarily for work-related purposes.
Yeah, I guess weddings can be work when you get stuck on a table with your second cousin who won't shut up. That's work, am I right? No, I'm not right. Weddings are not work, they are play. But to clear the whole matter up, Senator Brandis yesterday told the Department of Finance that he will repay the costs.
I therefore enclose my cheque for $1,683.06.
Yeah, don't forget that 6 cents, George. Now, at this point, you might be wondering why I haven't attacked Barnaby Joyce, the other coalition member accused of misusing taxpayer funds. Well, I will now. Shame on you, Barnaby. But I'm going to focus on George Brandis, mainly because when Peter Slipper was accused of misusing taxpayer funds, George Brandis made the case for Slipper to be prosecuted. Excuse me a moment, George, I'll just write you another cheque. Shall I make this one out to hypocrite? I'll make it out to hypocrite. To Greece now, where police have arrested the leader of the far-right Golden Dawn Party and charged him with belonging to a criminal organisation. Greece's anti-terrorist unit said it found weapons, ammunition and thousands of euros in cash at the party leader's home. In his defence, though, his home has a better credit rating than Greece's banks. And now, not in his defence, the guy runs what many call a neo-Nazi organisation. Indeed, their logo looks like a swastika crossed with snake from a Nokia 3310. Outraged by the arrest, Golden Dawn sent out a text message.
We call upon everyone to support our moral and just struggle against the corrupt system. Everyone come to our offices.
And everyone did.
A small group of about 30 people initially gathered, standing on the footpath.
The party, united, will never be defeated. Hey, where the is everyone? That was a stupid party anyway. And finally, it's grand finals time in the footballs. Congratulations to the Melbourne suburb Animals on winning the AFL grand final on Saturday. I look forward to seeing which Sydney suburb animal wins the NRL final this weekend. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Go Penguins. Next up tonight, on Friday, an asylum seeker boat with 80 people on board sank off the coast of Indonesia, leading to the deaths of at least 31 people. And it is interesting that we know that, because when Immigration Minister Scott Morrison promised during the election campaign that a coalition government will impose a blackout on asylum seeker boat arrivals, it seemed we wouldn't get any information about any boats because the Immigration Minister would be behind his curtain of asylum seeker silence.
What happened to the boats?
Can you account for the deaths at sea?
Was the Indonesian government responsible?
Any comment at all?
I think he's shaking his head.
And that self-imposed silence by elected curtin Scott Morrison would have worked great if it hadn't been for pesky journalists who interviewed some of the survivors from that boat who were more than happy not to be part of the blackout.
I called the Australian embassy for like 24 hours. We were calling them. So around 60 persons has died. All the children. 35 children has died. All women has died. Just tell us why they didn't rescue us.
I need to put a curtain on that guy. Now, with those difficult questions, the immigration curtain broke his self-imposed media blackout on asylum seeker operations, which made for an embarrassing about turn and also put into question the usefulness of the blackout curtain entirely.
The asylum seekers called for 24 hours and the Australian government did nothing. Are you sure you don't want to make a comment?
Last chance to confirm or deny, I'm clicking send.
It's not true. What was that? It's not true. Well, can you tell us what did happen then? Oh, come on, we know you're in there.
I saw you drinking a mocha before.
And Tony Abbott enacted his own version of a media blackout, a tactic that mainly comprised of fleeing. When questioned about the recent asylum seeker tragedy off the coast of Indonesia, the PM avoided journalists while walking away like someone accused of setting fire to a drug-dealing minor. And Abbott got so carried away with his escape, he drove all the way to the airport and has now fled to Indonesia, although officially that's being referred to as Tony Abbott's first overseas visit as Prime Minister. And Indonesia makes for an interesting first choice, namely because on the table for discussion will be the coalition's demands for cooperation on the asylum seeker issue, a plea for clemency for the Bali Nine, and a move for the restoration of Indonesian trust in the Australian cattle industry. So there's lots in it for Indonesia then, if by lots you mean beef. In fact, it is such an awkward first diplomatic trip, you wonder if there hasn't been a mix-up in the Prime Minister's scheduling.
Hi, Foreign Minister Bishop. Yes, I was just wondering if you'd seen Tony? He hasn't come to pick up his mail yet. He's gone to Indonesia. Oh, well, that's a terrible idea. You did tell him it was a terrible idea, didn't you? All right, what kind of card does Tony have up his sleeve for the Indonesians? Beef! How the hell is beef gonna smooth things over? Does Tony know about some sort of miracle beef I'm not aware of? No, this is a disaster. Okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna deploy another media blackout curtain around the Prime Minister immediately. And you would do well to do the same.
Where did he go? Well, still, that was pretty heavy, so let's end things tonight with the lighter side of news.
With a joint Four Corners and Fairfax media investigation revealing illegal attempts to strike a business deal with Iraq's brutal dictator Saddam Hussein.
Nope, couldn't find anything light. Oh well, what sort of business deals was Saddam Hussein interested in? Guns, uranium, stronger statues? Regardless, illegal business is exactly the kind of thing I'd have expected from that executed man.
Now, two whistleblowers lift the lid on a story the Reserve Bank does not want you to hear.
I'm sorry, the Reserve Bank did this? The same Reserve Bank that decides how ancient I'll be when I finally own my own house? What have they got to do with Saddam?
Secret files show officials from the RBA's Note Printing Australia went to Iraq at the height of UN sanctions to discuss the sale of plastic notes to the Iraqi government.
Right, so not uranium statues, but still pretty bad. Now, the allegations specifically concerned the company Note Printing Australia, which reportedly went to Iraq to discuss a deal with Saddam's brother-in-law to upgrade Iraq's currency from paper money to plastic. And while that Iraqi may have been crazy enough to risk death by banging Saddam Hussein's sister, take nothing away from his dream of an Iraq where he could go swimming with $50 in his Speedos. Still, if it's true, this is a shocking scandal. Not just because it involves bribery, not just because it involves the Hussein family, but because, as business expert Dr. David Chaikin said in an interview with Four Corners,
because the most respected institutions of our country have failed to discharge their responsibilities to the public.
Exactly, the Reserve Bank, one of our country's most respected institutions. So if it's tainted, who can we trust to tell us how much $5 is worth? Well, for more, let's cross to finance reporter Rachel Corbett, who is outside the Reserve Bank building. Rach.
Tom, remember when this was actually worth something? Now it's just a piece of plastic with somebody's head on it.
Yeah, it was always just a piece of plastic with someone's head on it, Rach.
Yeah, but we all thought it was worth $5 because these guys told us it was. They're the Reserve Bank, Tom. We trust them absolutely because it justifies the fact that we have no understanding of how they operate. But you know what, Tom? It's time for Australia to take a stand.
Okay.
To say that we will not be lied to.
Yeah, you have to admit they can make a decent banknote.
That's not helping me, Tom. Come on, go do it!
It's also waterproof. Iraq, you don't know what you're missing out on. Anyway, that's it for our show tonight, and we'll have more tomorrow night on the Prime Minister's negotiations on asylum seekers with the... Oh, God, no!